My family had one rule my entire life. Chloe comes first, she's the baby. So when I finally opened my own auto shop after 12 years of saving, my parents told me to put my little sister's name on the deed. I just said, that's not happening, and their reaction told me everything. Growing up, that sentence explained every unfair thing in our house. Why did Chloe get new clothes while I wore my cousin's hand-me-downs? She's the baby. Why did they pay her car insurance until she was 26 while I bike to work in the rain? She's the baby. Why was I expected to hand over half my paycheck at 17 to help the family while she never worked a single summer? Same answer every single time. Chloe isn't evil. She's just been rescued so many times she genuinely believes rescue is how the world works. Maxed out credit cards became family emergencies. A lease she broke became everyone pitch in. Meanwhile, I learned by 15 that nobody was coming to save me, so I'd better save myself. I started as a lube tech at 19. Nights and weekends, I fixed neighbors' cars in our driveway until the HOA complained. I rented a single bay behind a muffler place at 27. I lived in a studio apartment over a laundromat, ate rice and eggs, and put every spare dollar into tools. Last spring, at 34, I bought my own building. 6 bays, a real office, my name on the sign out front. The first night, I sat on the concrete floor with a gas station sandwich, looked around at the empty lifts, and got embarrassingly emotional. Nobody co-signed. Nobody helped. Mine. My mistake was inviting my family to the grand opening. My mother walked the whole shop like an appraiser, running her hand along the toolboxes. My father kept asking what the building cost, what the equipment cost, what I cleared in a month. Chloe stood in my office doorway and said, "Wow, so you're actually rich now," in a tone I couldn't quite read. 2 weeks later, they invited me to Sunday dinner. Halfway through the meal, my father set down his glass and said, "We need to talk about the shop." My mother folded her hands like they'd rehearsed it. "Your sister is struggling. You have all this now. We think the fair thing is to add her to the ownership. Family businesses should belong to the family." I actually waited for a punchline. There wasn't one. "She could do the books," my mom continued. "You'd give her a salary and a share. It would change her life. Chloe overdrafted her checking account 3 times last year," I said. "You told me. You want her doing my books?" My father's jaw tightened. "She's your sister. She's the baby of this family, and this family takes care of her." Chloe didn't even look uncomfortable. She just shrugged and said, "It's not like it would cost you anything. 12 years of rice and eggs, and it wouldn't cost me anything." I set my fork down and said calmly, "That's not happening." My mother gasped like I'd flipped the table. My father went red and started in about loyalty, about how he raised me better, about everything they'd sacrificed. I asked one question. "Name one thing you sacrificed for me that you didn't do twice over for her." The room went dead silent. I thanked them for dinner and left. The pressure campaign started that week. Crying voicemails from mom. My uncle texting me Bible verses about generosity. An aunt I hadn't heard from in 4 years telling me success had changed me. I felt guilty. I almost caved. Then my bookkeeper called. Chloe had phoned her office pretending to be my business partner, asking how to get added to the accounts and whether she could get copies of my financials. My bookkeeper, thank God, shut it down and called me immediately. The guilt died right there. The next morning I hired a lawyer, restructured the shop as an LLC with an operating agreement locked to me alone, and moved the building into a trust. Then I saved every screenshot. They made their final move at Thanksgiving in front of 20 relatives. My father stood up mid-meal and announced that I'd abandoned my sister and that everyone should know what kind of man I'd become. Heads turned toward me. My grandmother looked heartbroken. I didn't argue. I just took out a folder, walked it to the head of the table, and laid out the bookkeeper's written statement and the phone log, next to a text from my mother to Chloe that said, "Keep pushing. He always gives in eventually." You could hear the oven timer ticking in the kitchen. Chloe stared at her plate. My father sat down without finishing his speech. "Now everyone knows what kind of man I am," I said. "The kind who reads his mail." I kissed my grandmother on the cheek and left. This morning I unlocked my shop before sunrise, made coffee in my own office, and watched the lifts hum to life. Quiet phone, quiet books, quiet life.